Hello comic book fans, and today we're talking about Rogue Sun issue 15. This is a continuation of the mistake that Dylan's half-brother and sister made, Ari and Brooke. They was trying to summon their father Marcus, but they accidentally ended up summoning another Rogue Sun, the Night Sun collab. And at first, he seemed like a cool guy, a cool character that can help Dylan become a better Rogue Son, better than his father. But over time, it did not happen. Instead of what happened, that collab ended up taking the body of Dylan, and now Dylan is fighting for his very existence. Not only did collab do that, but he gave up trying to be a superhero. He gave up trying to be a protector. And now he is, having this discussion, this back and forth with Morningstar, which is the core of the evil of why the Rogue Sun has to protect, different realms and has to fight in all the generations of the Rogue Sun has died trying to protect. This all have been because of Morningstar and trying not to let him within this realm. But instead of him continuing that, or at least trying, he not only did he give up, now he's making a deal. Now he's having a collaboration with Morningstar. And as you read this, it's that saying that goes, live long enough to become the enemy. That type of saying. That's exactly what is happening here. And we go to where we see the bloodline and the generation. But now do we have Dylan and Marcus, which is his father, but now we see Marcus and his father, which is Dylan's grandfather. And they do not have a great relationship at all. And that's when you start to realize it's not just Marcus. He didn't have what he needed from his father either. And that trickled down to how Dylan feels about his father. And their relationship is actually worse between Marcus and his father. He simply hates this guy, hates his very existence. And Dylan is caught, in the middle of this because they're still trying to help him get out of there and back into his body. But as you read this and as you understand this, it's a much bigger issue than just not being a good person, Rogue Sun. This is a perfect example within a comic book or fantasy form on how parents affect their children and how that can go on for generations to come. If they don't feel the love or if they don't get what they need from their parent, then they're not equipped to be parents themselves. And that's how you got this entire situation, at least within the bloodline of Dylan. Another interesting conversation is shown between Ari and her mother, and she told her that Marcus, their father, was debating on giving it to her. He really probably wanted to give it to his daughter, but she told him no, give it to Dylan instead, not because she likes Dylan more, but because she loves Ari so much. So pretty much she was saying, no, give it to your other kid. I cannot live with the idea of my daughter, my kids, my generation also falling into that same cycle of being the protector and then soon being murdered or dying, just trying to fight for this realm of this world, which to a certain extent you could very much understand. But it goes even further than that Dylan really was, the last ditch idea of who could become Rogue Sun, not because he deserved it. It was just because they didn't want to give it to anybody else, and nobody really cared about him. And that's what we go further into the lore, into the concept of what the Rogue Sun is. When the Rogue Sun dies, they simply just don't go to heaven or hell. They actually have a place within the stone, within the gem itself. And as they're getting closer to the core, they are met with many different Rogue Suns from, the past, from, the Dark Ages, and from different points in time. And they are now, this is a rogue son civil war, because as you know, there's a bounty placed on Dylan's head. They want him, not particularly dead, but they particularly just want him. And now you have both the father and grandfather. They're fighting to get Dylan out of here, but no one's really on the same page. And Dylan is not listening to his father. Instead, he's listening to his grandfather. And Marcus is trying to tell him, do not follow this guy. And, again, this is one of those situations to where you really don't know who to trust. But, it's, again, Dylan's caught in between this. And once it seems like Dylan is tag teaming with his grandfather, the grandfather stabs him in the back. And another rogue son comes down, one of the elders, and his name is Odin. So I'm like, wait a minute. Is that the mythology Odin, or just a very powerful being named Odin? The power of the rogue son in the lore goes way deeper than any of us, could have guessed. And now we're back to the regular world, where Collab was attempting to kill Dottie, and because he needed, what he wanted from her, and able to give to Morningstar. And she tries to fight back, and she actually does a good job. And at first she thinks it's Dylan, but then she actually saw who it really was. But before she can really do anything about it, he nukes the entire place and lets all the villains out. All the villains that they've ever locked up from past generation has been unleashed upon the world. And that is all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you for watching.